Hi, everybody. This is Mr. Clay. I am here at the behest of the LTU professors to walk you through a digital guide on how to convert your Desmos project into a 3D print format. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to go to our Desmos project, which is right here. You can see I have my project. It's got all colors, all the lines, all this wonderful, wonderful stuff on it. And I am going to be taking this and I'm going to be turning this into a couple of different formats. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to the button right next to my name that says Share Graph. And I'm going to hit Export Image. Now I'm going to look at my image over here. And if you notice, my trees are blown out in the middle. I don't like that. So I'm going to change this. There we go. That looks a bit more like what I want to see on my screen. You can adjust the sizes to be different things. You can adjust your line thickness. You want to keep your file format as a PNG. So now I'm going to download that. There we go. It just downloaded Desmos Graph. I've done this a few times, as you can probably tell. And now I'm going to show you where we are going to be turning this into a 3D 3D print. We're going to be going to a place called Maker Lab. That's this right here. This is a 3D print hub where you can go and get your stuff turned into 3D prints and all sorts of stuff if you have a 3D printer. We're going to go here to the log in button in the upper right corner. And it already recognizes me, but you will have to log in with Google. The first time you do it, you can put your username or not. This is going to be a temporary account. You don't need to do much with it. We want to make sure that we are here on the Maker Lab tab. There's a bunch of other stuff, like you can order 3D models, you can pay them for stuff. We're not doing that. We're going to go down here. It should be somewhere in the middle. This is the one that we have found works best. This is called Image to Keychain. So we're going to click this. We're going to click Start. And then right over here, we're going to click Create from Blank. This will pop open. They have some examples over here on the left side. We're going to ignore that. We're just going to click on this here. And we're going to go to our downloads folder. This is the Desmos graph that I just downloaded. I'm going to open that up, and here it is. You've got a little thinking wheel. We want to keep the background, and we want to take this and we want to zoom it in so that our shape, our graph is sitting right here in the middle. You might need to move some of these edges in to make sure that you're capturing it. You want just your picture right here in the middle. You don't need all of this extra stuff around the outside. To start with, I would highly suggest you set your image thickness to 1 millimeter. That will give you a back thickness of 1 millimeter, and then you will be able to raise your Desmos art off of that thinner back plate here. So 1 millimeter. You can leave all of this pretty much the way it is. You don't need to do anything here. Just click confirm. And it's going to think through. Now, this is processing our image into what is called a 4-color print, which means if you have more than 4 colors, like I do, you're probably going to end up with something very weird looking like this here. So I'm going to go down. Don't worry about this if this happens on yours. And I'm just going to click confirm. There we go. Okay, so now you notice I am missing, my mountains have disappeared. I've got my river, but all of this stuff has gone completely crazy. That's fine. The colors on the print will not match the color of what you get. Everything we are printing is going to be printed in one single solid color. So the colors that we see on Maker Lab here will not impact it. The only thing it's going to do is it's going to make it harder or easier to see things. You notice I've clicked here and I can kind of see my mountains in the background. So I'm going to have to do a couple of things here to change this. So I'm going to come over here and you notice these little dots are the colors that were originally in my art. They have now been changed to another color on the plate. So if I want to change this back so I can see it easier, well, I would need to change it to be something like this. I'm not going to do those. I am instead going to find, here we go. These are the colors of my mountains. Here they are. There we go. Oh, I don't need those. Come on. There we go. All right, so you see my mountain popped back in. That's what we want here. So there are a couple of ways to do this. I highly recommend starting with the easiest way. When you are clicking on this here, you are going to be selecting different areas, different regions, different parts of your build. What I suggest you do is I suggest you take everything that you want. Click over here. You have the regular arrow, and then you have the multicolor arrow. Click on the multicolor arrow, and then click on a color. You can tell what color you had by what number is right here. And we're going to want to make this taller. I'm going to move this up to 2, then I'm going to hit enter. So I clicked on this dark blue color. It's color number 12, and I set it to 2 millimeters. Now, you might also be noticing this little window in my lower right corner. This is the 3D view. If you look, I can rotate this and I can see a 3D view. If you want to see that bigger, here we go. I can now see that my 3D view is showing me everything that is raised up off of the back plate. You see how I still have some blue lines that are inside the white? I'm going to have to change that. And my trees and everything are just kind of missing in this brown disc here. I'm going to change that here in a moment too. So I'm going to come back over here onto my selection grid, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to select those little blue lines. Nope. See how I selected, but I have a number 1 here. 1 is always your background color. 1 is always white. If you select 1, you will select everything that's white, and I don't want to do that. There we go. See how this blue number 7 is here? I'm also going to make that 2 millimeters. Come back over here and check. Hey, look, there we go. My blue waves are now sitting up out of the background. Okay, I think it's time to rescue these trees. Let's go here. Now, if I select brown, I'm going to bump this up 2. Let's select the whole thing, bump it up 2. If I come back here, you'll notice I have the brown disc. Oop, there we go. It is now at the same level of everything else, but I want my trees to come out even more above that. So I'm going to go back to the individual arrow here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit to make sure I'm selecting the right parts. And here we go. So I click on this. Now I'm going to hold down the shift key and I'm going to keep selecting until, oh, there we go. Until you see I'm selecting more and more of my trees. Once I have everything on my trees selected, again, I am holding down the shift button in order to do that. Notice there's some kind of weird little notch there or something like that. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. Seeing everything selected here. I am going to raise that up to 3. And as soon as I hit enter, you may have noticed a little change over here. Pop this up. Hey, look, there are my trees. They're sitting up out of the surface of that disc. Now, you also might notice, hey, my trees have this weird little shading going in behind them. Again, I'm going to begin selecting all of that. This is not currently sticking up out of the disc. This is buried in it. I'm selecting all these little parts. There we go. Oh, I think there's a little part here and a little part there. There we go. All this little bit that is behind my trees. And I'm going to bump that up just a little. I'm going to go to 2.5. So it's in between the disc and the height of the tree. Now that I've done that, pop back over here, and what do we see? It's a little hard to tell. Here we go. But you can see there is now a little bit of a bump. You can see I have the disc here. There's this little bit of bump here, and then I have the trees sitting out there. I also want to do that with the snow on the mountains. I want the snow to be sitting on top of the mountains. Remember, my mountains are at 2. So I'm going to come up here. I'm going to select this snow. I'm going to select this snow. I'm going to select this snow. And I'm going to put those at 2.5. So they are sitting just a little bit over my mountains here. And look, there we go. I can see my snow sitting right above my mountains. There they are. My snow is sitting right over my mountains. Now I'm going to leave my rivers empty here. I'm going to leave them so that the waves are their own individual parts. I'm not going to change that. I believe, I believe I am now happy with this. I've looked in my 3D view. I've looked on my grid view here. Everything looks good. I'm going to come over here to this green download button. Click this. You don't need to change anything here. You just need to go to download and click download STL. It is going to prepare your file. It is done. We do not wish to buy a keychain. That's it. You have now downloaded it. It should be waiting for you in your downloads folder. Here it is. Always will show up as keychain draft. We'll change that. Rename this. This is Mr. Clay. This is Mr. Clay's print. There we go. All righty. That's how we do, everybody. If you have any questions, myself and other staff members will be around to assist you. Thank you very much, and happy Desmosing.